Hello and welcome back to the Auto Loons YouTube channel. We are back with some more diecast model reviews. This time we have a threesome of Hot Wheels Lamborghinis. But it's not just that they are Lamborghinis, they're related. Starting with the Gallardo Superleggera LP570-4. Then we have the more modern Huracan LP620-4 and sort of a middleman concept unicorn car, the Sesto Elemento. What's common across these three Lamborghinis is that they're all powered by 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 engines. While the engine displacement and number of cylinders is the same, there is a big difference between these two and the more recent Huracan. These are also the most popular or are the best-selling Lamborghini models till date. They represent the entry point of the brand. It's extreme, it's powerful, but it's not insane. It's not V12 stuff. That's the next level altogether. But this is usable and relatively affordable supercar performance. You might notice that the Gallardo and the Sesto have wings, whereas the Huracan does not. That's because I couldn't find a Huracan Performante Hot Wheels model, and the Super Trofeo one was not fitting the bill either. On the flip side, the Huracan has better aerodynamics and electronic abilities. That's just the march of the times, aided by the fact that the Huracan was almost entirely developed under Audi's ownership. It's time to look at each of these V10 Lambos individually in detail. Let's start with the bright green Gallardo Superleggera. Now this particular model is part of the Hot Wheels 2019 Exotics multi-pack, but the model itself has been around for a lot longer. There's that glorious V10, which we'll talk about a little more in detail. But just take a quick first look at the model itself. It's very decently detailed. Like, you get these carbon fiber finishes for the wing, the engine surrounds, these extra, you could say, aero body kits, body bits, the more aggressive diffuser, this sort of heat dissipation section here, these vents here, of course not perforated, but that extra textured effect makes a difference for that more aggressive front splitter and bumper, as opposed to the regular Gallardo. And you can also kind of just about make out the sports seats in this model, even though the windows are slightly tinted from the side, but you get a good look in, and that sort of viewing before the engine would be here. Sort of an add-on wing, but it doesn't stick out too much, so it feels solid. It doesn't feel like it'll break off easily. But yeah, it's a very nice Hot Wheels model. This decal detailing, getting that Superleggera font in such accurate detail for such a small model, and this price is a very nice touch. Love the wheels as well. So it's a nice neon green with black contrast. Headlights are stickers and the bull logo as well. Now let's talk a little bit more about the car. This is the second gen Lamborghini Gallardo, which came out in 2011. The Superleggera part stands for super lightweight, which means it's more stripped out and performance or track focused than the regular Gallardo, which was more of a, let's call it a California sports car. You enjoyed cruising in it. It's a Lambo, shouty, loud. This was a bit more focused. The second gen Lambo's 5.2-liter V10 had an odd firing sequence, which is part of its performance delivery and that shouty sound. While the standard Gallardo, second gen Gallardo, made around 560 PS, the Superleggera made 570 PS, hence the LP570-4, 4 standing for all-wheel drive. And in Lamborghini terms, LP stands for the engine layout, longitudinal posteriore. I might be overdoing the accent here, but what it means is longitudinally positioned, which is what the engine's position is behind the driver. Transmission, 2011 sports car, not the best. It was a 6-speed E-gear with paddle shifters, so it's kind of like a Formula 1 kind of tech, but it's not really refined yet for the road, which is great for performance, like when you're banging through the gears aggressively, but I think there were many reports and reviews which stated that in normal city use, especially slow speed traffic, it's a nightmare. It's a risk because it could cause all kinds of engine trouble, and even at its most basic issue, replacing the Lambo clutch is not a cheap thing. As I mentioned earlier, the Superleggera moniker stands for super lightweight. So this one has a 70 kilo weight savings over the regular Gallardo and has a dry weight of 1340 kilos as stated by Lamborghini. The body shell is already made from aluminium, but for the Superleggera, they used a lot more carbon fiber, like for the aero bits, the wing, the side silks, the side splitters, the front splitters, inside the cabin, the underbody paneling, and that sporty diffuser that we saw. They replaced the glass windows with polycarbonate, which is kind of more race car material, but it technically has windows, but it's lighter. While the Superleggera was track or performance focused with a focus on saving weight, it still had the basic comforts like AC and an audio system, and power windows too. Still, lighter means faster, and Lamborghini said that this one had a 0 to 100 kph time, 100 km per hour time of 3.4 seconds. Keep going, you'll hit 200 km per hour in 10.2 seconds, and you'll max out at around 325 km per hour. Next up, we have the Sesto Elemento, which literally translates as sixth element. Now this is a bit of a concept car, as its looks suggest, and it was an evolution of the Gallardo as the company transitioned into their next generation V10 sports car. I first saw the Elemento in an old Top Gear program where it was driven by Richard Hammond, and I've seen it in many video games since then, and I also saw it in the Need for Speed movie where for some reason it was the antagonist's main car. Has the same engine as the Gallardo Superleggera, which is the 5.2 liter V10, makes 570 PS of power, and it has the same gearbox, the 6-speed E-gear transmission, and it has permanent 4-wheel drive. However, it used a lot of carbon fiber reinforced plastic, which today is kind of an accessory for any BMW, from the 1 Series to the M8 competition coupe. Yeah, so this was like at that time CFRP, which is carbon fiber reinforced plastic, was sort of cutting edge tech for road cars at that time. F1's been using it from who knows how long. Other racing formats have been using it, but it hadn't really been applied for something that looked close to road legal. So by using all that carbon fiber and carbon fiber plastic, this thing weighed just under 1,000 kilos. 999 kilos approx, according to the Lamborghini statement. So we had a quick car with that performance when it weighed 340 kilos more. Now subtract that and you're something insanely fast. It's because of all that carbon fiber, it's called the sixth element. This element that's kind of being exploited, explored, developed for new age of supercars. So the Sesto Elemento had a carbon fiber monocoque cell. It had front frame exterior panels made of carbon fiber reinforced plastic. The suspension components and the rims were made from carbon fiber. Even the propeller shaft was made from CFRP. What also helped with the weight savings was the fact that the Sesto Elemento concept was not like the Gallardo Superleggera, which means that one had some road comfort. This has none of those. It has a bare bones carbon fiber panel and dash, a roll cage, and a V10 engine. The result of all that dieting, this car could do 0 to 100 kph sprint in 2.5 seconds. Then we also have the Aero, which was again a step ahead of what the Gallardo had. You know, it was more focused, more precise. All vents, openings, cuts were there to channel air for aerodynamics or for cooling or for some or the other performance-oriented topic. Speaking on the model itself, this is also part of the 2019 Hot Wheels 5-pack exotic series. It's alongside the Superleggera. Love the candy red finish. It mirrors the actual launch version's spec, which was all black with red accents. This is the reverse, a red with black accents and the glossy finish. For some reason, my camera isn't quite picking up the shade. It's making it look more pale than it is. See if I can fix that in post-production. But it is a lovely color. You can just about see the racing style steering wheel, the extra carbon fiber supports inside, the seat, the bare dashboard, which you can probably see. In the real car you can see some of the suspension bits through the dash, the aggressive styling, and like just vents everywhere. It also sort of introduced that hexagonal theme, which kind of permeates most of Lamborghini's product lineup these days. And one of the star design features were these engine vents. If you can count them, 10 of them, one for each cylinder. And just throw a photo of the actual car on screen, and they really kind of made it seem like an alien car at the time. And those figures were enormous, and for everybody who watched Top Gear, to watch Richard Hammond almost brown his pants was quite fun. So yeah, this is one of the most iconic Lamborghini concept models in terms of actual performance, I would say, in the last 15 years. In fact, I would put it above the Veneno for what it could do. It doesn't look as outlandish, but what it can do as an experience, from what I've seen online, I think this would be above that and recent Lamborghini concepts. Just talking about the model again, great detailing. Would have loved if there was a little more contrast on the engine cover, as opposed to just a giant sort of metal section with the hexagonal design. But I think it still kind of comes across as the car's intent. Even this little detailing around the wing. That diffuser is a nightmare, but you know what, I'll forgive him. It's 1/64 scale. It's at best 120 bucks, you know? So yeah, it's pretty decently detailed. You get a nice Lamborghini scale model in a nice color. Moving on to the final car of this episode, the Huracan LP 610-4, not 620 as I said in the intro. So this came 5 years after the Elemento, and it was the first, you could say it was the entry-level Lambo under Audi ownership, because they took that original engine and then completely reworked it to still be a 5.2 liter V10, but it was a new engine. That's why the performance has gone from 570 peak in the previous one to 610 in the basic entry version. In many ways, the Huracan was kind of a big step away from the car it succeeded. While the Gallardo was all about just raw experience and emotion, the Huracan was engineered to be a better car. The Gallardo was about aura, about presence and noise. The Huracan takes those two ingredients and then adds into a bigger pot, which now has refinement, reliability, more performance, and usability. It's a faster car than the previous generation in every way, and better to live with. That's the ultimate combo. Like, you don't need, if you only have yourself to drive, or you only have a friend, and you don't have to worry about, you know, ferrying family around. If you only need a two-seater coupe. Previously, your best option was a Porsche or an R8. Now you had something that had Lamborghini looks and German performance and usability. It's a good combo. I'm always up for it. It's like, I don't know what it's like, but yeah, let's go with that. So, as the name said, LP-610-4, which means same positioning of the engine, power output is 610 horsepower, and it still drives all four wheels with a rear bias. It has dual fuel injection, which is also part of why they were able to get more power out of that same displacement. It has a more practical gearbox, the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. In fact, the 7-speed DCT is kind of the staple for any performance-oriented car today. It's heavier than the Gallardo Superleggera, but around the same weight as the standard Gallardo at around 1422 kilos. Still, it's quicker than the Superleggera because it can do 0 to 100 kph in 3.2 seconds. It'll do 200 kph in 9.9 seconds, and the top speed is a lot over 325. Increase in power alone isn't how you get more performance. You need to put the power down to the road. But even the old cars had four-wheel drive. Well, the new Huracan had better tech to control the power delivery. Lamborghini calls this system Anima, which is said to be Italian for soul. So it had different driving modes, traction modes, depending on the kind of driving experience you wanted, how you wanted the car to behave. You could get more out of the car when and where you wanted to. You've seen multiple evolutions of Lamborghini's aero tech and traction management tech over time, especially in the Huracan Performante, which I don't have a model of yet, but as soon as I do, I'll get that video to you guys, which introduced Lambo's active aerodynamics, which is kind of a staple in the modern facelifted Huracan Evo. Even this first gen Huracan is, like, you can tell it has stylings inspired by the Elemento, like perhaps the hexagonal featuring, the hexagonal proportions. This particular diecast model is sort of the, I don't even remember, I've had this for a while now. I think I bought it as a loose item. This might go to the factory fresh series, which means it has like the least amount of changes to the design as compared to the stock model. You have a much nicer look into the engine bay with this model. You have the branding at the rear. You have this sort of racing stripe design from over the top. It's very nicely detailed, like it's in sync. It's on all parts. I wish it had gone all the way down, but that's okay. The car itself looks just more taut, more precise. Wheel design suits the color combo here, with the sort of bronze orange contrasting the overall black rims, with the orange stripe over the matte gray finish or satin gray finish. It's got screens, it's got comforts, it makes more sense than the previous Italian center console layout with all those buttons. Perhaps it's no surprise that as the entry-level usable sports car, the Lambo Huracan succeeded the Gallardo in every way, including becoming their best-selling car. That is until the new Urus SUV surpasses it, because everybody loves SUVs. It's easy to see the transition from this generation at the start of 2010 to this 5 years on. Was able to improve on their entry-level performance car. But yeah, it's sort of Lambo's V10 heritage over the last decade or so, and I'm looking forward to what they do next if they can stick with the V10, you know? So that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and I will see you guys very soon with a new diecast video.